Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
You're listening to the RAC podcast, the Welsh Regional Rugby Appreciation Pod, where we try to cover all the important issues on and off the field in Welsh Regional and National Rugby. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, all of that information is at the end, so you'll just have to bear with us and get to that bit. In the meantime, enjoy this week's show. Hello and welcome to this week's first of two podcasts this week. So as always, joining me is the usual crew. I've got Jamie, Carwyn and Rhys, and we have a special guest this week. Joining us from the start, we have author extraordinaire Luke Upton. So hello everyone, how are we all, gents?
Good evening.
All good, thank you.
Yeah.
How are you, Lee? All right. Welcome, Luke.
So before we start with Drink of the Week, we got to explain that Rhys is... Well, Rhys, I'll let you explain just how cocked up was your weekend, mate. Tell everyone what you did.
Well, I in a bid to stay fit, I do kickboxing and taekwondo, and I was doing a grading, and I tried to spar somebody a lot younger than I was, and my knee didn't like it, and I dislocated it, smashed up a tendon, and I had an operation yesterday. So I'm on medication of the week, and flying high on cocodamol.
So you're high as a kite for you've been high as a kite for a couple of days, haven't you?
Yeah, yesterday was on the Oromorph. That was great. But I'm not allowed to take that stuff home with me.
Right, so let's start with Drink of the Week then. So let's start with our guest's Drink of the Week first of all. So Luke, what's your Drink of the Week, my friend?
Hi, boys. Thanks for getting me on the show. My drink of the week is a calf freeze.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a calf freeze for a long time.
Yeah. Used to drink that in uni a lot.
Yeah. 3.8%. Really smooth, really easy to drink. I've got 3 kids, but I've got a 10-month-old who wakes up all the time in the night. So my my drink
works well on them, yeah.
Yeah. So 3.8% calf freeze all the way. Great Christmas drink.
Yeah.
Cool. Jamie, what's yours, mate?
So I got the beer that sponsors both the Dragons and the Ospreys. Do you know what that is, Carwyn? What do you think I got? What was that?
You've lost your sound, Carwyn. That's never a bad thing, to be honest. Not being able to hear Carwyn.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. What have I got? Doombar. Correct. Happy days.
And the glass. Yeah.
I got the glass. I'm proper that.
Yes.
Oh, you're just showing off tonight, mate. He's got the shirt on. He's got the glass. He's got it. Proper corporate tonight.
Oh, yes.
Disappointing. Carwyn, oh no, you're going to do that. So, Rhys, are you allowed to drink, or are you medication of the week, mate?
Yeah, no, I can't have any drink today. on the medication I'm on. My mother, the next nurse, looked at the cocodamol they gave me, and she says, "Oh, that's stronger than the stuff I got in the house." So, so if I go in and out of this pod, you know why.
All right, well, so mine then. So I'm going across the craft beer shelf in Tesco's, and I thought, so I've done all the Welsh stuff. I wasn't going to do the English stuff, and I thought we'd go foreign. So I saw this, and I quite like Californian stuff. So I've got a bottle of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and I didn't really look at it. I just liked the look of the bottle. And then just before we were about to come on air, I had a quick look at it, and it's 5.6%. And then I had a sip of it, and it stripped the back of the throat as it's going down. It's it's like tequila. It's not a tequila beer, but it is, oh man, it's harsh. So I wouldn't recommend it already. I've only had 2 sips. I wouldn't recommend it, but there we go. So, Carwyn, I'm going to enjoy this bit. So
I'm not.
So Carwyn's forfeit drink of the week is a cold bottle of mulled wine.
Cheap mulled wine.
Cheapest one. The cheapest one you could find in the co-op. How much was it?
It was the only one. It was about £6, I think.
Oh, I got stuff for £3 down in mine.
Yeah, well, it's cheaper down west, isn't it? But like, this is 8%. It says heat with cinnamon sticks and halved oranges. Unfortunately, that's not happening for me tonight. So, bear with me.
Just so you know, Carwyn, you were 67 points. 67 points out from last week on predictions. So,
yeah, that's because obviously I didn't back the Scarlets, which I never will.
Got your
understandable, to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Yours a lot of you. Bloody hell, man! How bad is that?
Well, it's actually quite nice.
Oh, disappointing, man.
You've lucked out there, bro.
Yeah. Bastard.
Happy days. Well, it's done. Cheers, boys. Merry Christmas.
We'll do the same again next week. Right. Okay. So let's talk interesting stuff. So let's start with rugby first of all. So Luke, what did you make of the weekend's games, mate? Before we'll talk about your book and all that kind of stuff, because we quite like it. But what did you make of the rugby stuff from last weekend?
Well, as an Ospreys fan, I'm sort of from Swansea, live in South East London, but Ospreys fan, very, very disappointed with what happened on Sunday afternoon. I mean, looking at the team sheets beforehand, so Leicester made a bunch of changes. Ospreys team looked pretty strong. Not to be, a lot of mistakes. Not a lot.
Loads of mistakes.
Creativity. Yeah.
But you boys must
not
be
a lot
used
of
to that
creativity.
by now. Yeah. You
won one game, look. Now, we brought all these boys back from internationals straight, and they've gone straight in. Where actually, I think the lads were filling in. I thought they was doing quite a decent job, and I think those lads wanted it more. And you've got these internationals coming back, and there was just no fight in them.
No.
And it was all. It bugs me. Like, it's constant. You know the Welsh backs play, pull the ball back. I mean, you can read it every time. There's no heads at rugby, and it's really frustrating as a fan. I love the Ospreys. I've been a supporter since they started. Neath before that, but it's just so frustrating. They should have won that game hands down, but they just did not look like a team. They were just full of individuals.
No. They're losing the tight. They've lost every tight game this year, basically, haven't they? It's Montpellier away now. Probably.
They probably shock us out there and win.
Well, I mean, who knows which French team? But yeah, very disappointing. I mean, it's been a very disappointing season. Obviously, you guys talk about this sort of most weeks, but I did feel like we were moving in the right direction. But we've gone backwards this year, haven't we?
We have.
We're way off at the moment, really.
And there's
a lot
already
of those players coming back would have had their heads quite low, isn't it, after the end of that autumn international season, isn't it? And like we were saying in other podcasts, like the youngsters filling in, or well, not filling in, representing, you should say, isn't it? Outside half, and who was the centre we talked about in South Africa? It was quite stocky, like a Scott Gibbs sort of figure at 12.
Oh, Kieran Williams.
Yeah. It's players like him and stuff like that, isn't it?
He's the sort of player you need to build the back line around. Him and Morgan Morris, in the pack as well. They're the people you need to build that Ospreys team around.
I mean, the number 10 situation is obviously a bit unfortunate. I think, someone like, if Myler plays on the weekend, might be a different story. And, 10 is doing a decent job, but they never thought he'd be playing this much today.
No, exactly, yeah. I'm also bringing in Owen Williams as well.
Exactly. I don't know why Poe are looking at Gareth Anscombe. Like he's a cracking player, but he's not an investment, is he?
No.
I mean, he's 31, terrible injuries. I mean, it looks like he's going to be off, doesn't it?
Well, but yeah, I mean, for them, is it short term? Is it a short term investment? I don't know, but I mean, hopefully he'll actually invest back into the Ospreys the amount of time they've invested in him throughout the time he's been out with injuries. Is there that loyalty there? I don't know.
Do you want to hear an uncomfortable stat about Sunday?
No.
A really uncomfortable stat. So the Ospreys, right? I'm quoting this from the Telegraph, right? So if it's wrong, don't blame me, right? But the Ospreys had apparently more than 600 international caps in their team, right?
That's right, yeah.
Leicester had just 82 caps, right? 56 of those came from Anthony Watson alone. I mean, that's bad, isn't it? They should have won, shouldn't they? Oh, he did. He was excellent. But you look at the lineups.
If you heard the head coach for Leicester there at the start, he's been interviewed prior to the game. Yeah, he was saying he mentioned the caps, and he said, and statistically, you can win a Rugby World Cup with 650 caps.
I think Ospreys will be struggling, mate.
I
think it's a bit ambitious to take
that
leap.
Sure, it depends what Warren Gatland does now. Like when he came in 2008 with the 13 Ospreys and 2 others, and we went on to win a Grand Slam, didn't we?
Oh, Christ, you're as bad as recent as. Did you see when Cardiff played the Sharks?
That's a question for Luke, isn't it? So, Luke, what do you think about Gatland, the saviour, coming back to Welsh rugby, and Pivac's sacking?
Yeah.
What do you make of it, mate?
Wow. I mean, I think it's a pretty bad indictment of the WIU, I think, and where they are with their planning or lack of it. I mean, I guess we'll probably talk about the Steve Phillips interview a bit later on. If you've sort of listened to it, I've heard it. So I think it's a terrible indictment of the WIU. But are we more likely to beat Ireland in February? Are we more likely to get to the quarterfinal of the World Cup? Yeah, 100%. So is it an upgrade in coaching? I think it is. So, I mean, I think he's the best possible person we could have got. People talking about Ronan O'Gara and stuff like that is just nonsense. Like that's not happening. No. I mean, Di Flanagan maybe in a couple of years' time. But yeah,
leave him alone. He's fine with us.
The best glasses wearer in Welsh rugby, Di Flanagan.
That's true.
Always wearing glasses. Big respect for him for that. It is. I mean, Welsh rugby, as you boys talk about most weeks, is a basket case, and bringing Gatland in is an indictment of that. But on the other hand, we are better off with him than without him, I think, in lieu of other options. I think the key thing is what happens in his 4 or 5 years is whether he gets control over other aspects of Welsh rugby, whether he wants to or not. I don't know. I mean, on that Phillips interview, he kind of fudged it, didn't he? Talking about what happens after the first year. I think you have to build in some continuity. You have to bring in some sort of successor planning. Because at the moment there isn't anything. And if we have a good World Cup and suddenly New Zealand don't, and New Zealand suddenly give him a belt, he'll leave. And I don't know who on earth would come in if Gatland did leave at the end of the year. So, yeah, mixed feelings. But do I feel more optimistic about the Six Nations with him as manager than Pivac? Yeah, 100%. So
yeah, I agree.
But then when we talk about like succession planning, and we have spoken about this, it seemed a fairly obvious step up for Sean Edwards at the time, like Gatland leaves, and you, like what Ireland did, you kind of create that continuity from within, and you go, if the guy wants a 4-year contract, give him a 4-year contract. To lose a coach on something so kind of, elementary was, I think that should have been like you say, the plan should have been there. This is what we'll do, right? Okay, and he gave like 12 months notice, Gatland, that this was my intention. This is what. It wasn't like, oh, by the way, next week I'm off. So yeah, how the WRU do business, that just kind of reeks of it. Really, it's just the lack of foresight and the lack of planning ability
and lack of agency.
Yeah, I go back to leadership. It's just there's no leadership in there. There's nobody going, right, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. This is how we're going to do it, and all that kind of stuff. It's a shit show, is what it is, and has been for a while.
They've made this big change, but if the Georgia kicker at the end of that game slices it wide, he's probably still the manager. Like
thank God he got it.
Wow, I mean, yeah.
That's not nice.
No,
you're right.
I know, I'm joking.
It's true. Yeah,
yeah, it is true. Yeah, it is true.
So let's talk about your book, Luke, because Jamie's been raving about this for a while, and we've all had a little dip into it. So for those, see, I tell you what, when Jamie smiles now, there's a brown tongue inside that mouth because he's going.
Just because you haven't done your homework, I've bothered to go out and buy it.
It's on my Christmas
you lot
list.
Haven't done your homework, so I've done it. So
I've been sleeping. I've been on nights.
It's on my Christmas list. I said to the wife, I quite like this book. We were in, where were we? Waterstones in Cardiff, and I said, I'm going to have a look for a book because blah blah blah. And she said, oh no, you don't buy books this close to Christmas. I'll buy it for you. And I was like, bugger. So yeah, I got an idea. But give me a couple of weeks and I'll know. But at the minute, we're all going on what Jamie's kind of said. So give us a quick rundown then, Luke. What's the book about? Tell us why we should have it for Christmas. There we go. How's that?
Well, it's the perfect Christmas gift for the rugby fan in your life. No, it's I've written a couple of books. I've been lucky enough to write a couple of books for Ololva, the Welsh publisher that I'm sure you guys kind of know. The last book I wrote was called Hard Men of Rugby. So a collection of 20 profiles. That's it. That's the one. 20 profiles of kind of tough players, kind of on and off the pitch. So, all variety of nutters, including Paddy Mayne, who, those of you watching Road Warriors, that BBC SAS show, he's kind of the lead character in that. And then the kind of logical one to come after Hard Men was Mavericks. So I was sort of thinking about it a little while, and then I was watching during COVID. I was watching The Last Dance, the Chicago Bulls documentary on Netflix. I don't like basketball at all. I haven't got a clue about any of it, but found it absolutely, kind of fascinating, really, and really got into it. And then it got me thinking a bit about how kind of like Mavericks in rugby are treated or not treated. So yeah, it sort of led to this book, and I was lucky that Ololva gave me quite a big. Quite a broad sort of remit, really, in that I could pick players who were sort of creative on the pitch. So someone like, Serevi, Fijian, obviously like ultimate flair player, avoiding contact at every cost, that kind of thing. People like Finn Russell, people like sort of David Campese, but then also able to bring in players who are sort of maverick kind of off the pitch. So someone like Jean-Pierre Rive, who was like a tough nut player in the 80s, but has become like a world-renowned artist since. Prince Alex Obolensky, who was a great player for England before the war, but he was like an exiled Russian prince, right through to someone like David Pocock. Again, like a tough nut forward on the pitch, but a kind of a campaigner off it. So, campaigning for marriage. Yeah, and now he's a senator. Yeah, he got elected a senator. He's only 33, 34, I think. He's like a young man. So it was really good fun to put together. So I was able to choose a lot of different players. And yeah, it's a bit like an album. There's a few kind of greatest hits on there. So, you got your sort of Ray Gravels on there, and, brilliant stories with him. Di Bishop, another Welsh angle. And then, there's people who are maybe a bit less known. I've got kind of an Irish guy called Marnie Cunningham in there that is really only known to your proper Munster heads from the 50s, but he was an Irish international, a very good one, who packed in his job, packed in the game very abruptly to become a Catholic priest, and then became a sort of anti-apartheid campaigner. So when the Springboks toured Britain and Ireland in the 70s, it was a really big controversial kind of thing. There were kind of protests at loads of games. Big protests in Wales, a big battle at St Helens, literally a battle on the pitch there. But he kind of led the protests in Ireland, and it's kind of interesting. He was the only former player to lead them. So someone like him was a story that wasn't really told before, and I spoke to his family, and it's kind of a new story. So yeah, it's good fun, and it's hopefully it's quite focused on the characters really. I'm not really into sort of stats or like straight up. He was born here, then he went here and he did that. I'm not really interested in that. It's sort of picking out the stories and the key moments from their career. So yeah, it's good fun to write, and I got to speak to quite a lot of people as well. So I interviewed David Campese, who did the foreword for it very kindly, and he was good value. He was exactly how you'd imagine David Campese to be. I kind of emailed him and said what I'm doing. Like, would you like to chat? And he's like, yeah, sure, mate. And then gave him a call at a time, and he just started, he was straight off, just full of opinions. It's not in the book because it doesn't really fit, but he was really critical of Wayne Pivac and Stephen Jones. And this was
top man.
This was about this time last year, actually, when I interviewed him first. And he was like, I don't understand why they guys are doing that. I don't understand why Stephen Jones is your backs coach and stuff like that. But yeah, he was he was great fun.
How long did it take Campese to mention the World Cup?
Yeah, he did bring it up. Yeah.
Just casually dropped it in.
Yeah. But then you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched a lot. I've watched quite a lot of that World Cup. There's a few of the boys from the book in that, and yeah, he was something else. But yeah, he was great, and he's written the foreword, so he was good. Yeah, I spoke to Steve Fenwick, obviously Welsh great, and he was lovely. Again, kind of exactly how you'd imagine. So obviously I couldn't speak to Ray Gravel, so I spoke to his the next best person really. Yeah, I mean, he was lovely. And then Non Evans actually was the other Welsh person I spoke to for the book, and she's a fascinating character. Obviously, a hell of an athlete, representing Wales in rugby for about 15 years, but also in the Commonwealth Games, in different sports, powerlifting, judo. She went on Gladiators in the 90s. And she was great. I mean, she's a great athlete, but she's had a few issues as well. She's been a bit of a tough time for her since retiring, and she spoke quite openly about that. There's 3 Welsh people in there, so it's Gravel, Non Evans. The other person is Di Bishop. Obviously, lots and lots of stories with him. Whenever I mention his name, people have got a little smile on their face, and they often tell me their own anecdote about bumping into him in Cardiff and 1986 out or something.
He bumped into a lot of people, didn't it? Wasn't me, ref. It was I bumped into him.
Yeah, I mean, not everything's gone in the book. It's fair to say. And unfortunately, he obviously had he was a little bit unwell at the start of the year. Had a stroke, and he was a bit poorly, so I didn't get to speak to him. And then he messaged me. Unfortunately, literally the day the book was being printed, saying, "Oh, hi Luke. Oh yeah, I'd love to chat. Give me a bell." And it was sort of too late. But,
oh gosh.
Yeah, so I will try and speak to him. But he was a great chapter. So yeah, it's quite fun. It's very sort of character focused, and I've tried to bring in quite a bit of the sort of world that they were sort of playing in as well. So kind of the era and what the big issues sort of were. So I mean, one of my favourite chapters would be James Small, who was the South African winger in the 1995 World Cup final. So he played against Lomu. Yeah, he was his job was to basically bring him down, which he did. But he was kind of a fascinating character, quite troubled, like, a bad boy off the pitch, lots of kind of issues. But again, a sort of fascinating guy because he was playing at a time when it was going from amateur to professional. But he was also not of Afrikaans heritage. He was the only player in the team. You basically had Chester Williams, who was the only black guy in the team, and you had James Small, who was the only guy of British heritage, and then you had 13 Afrikaans guys. So he had his own kind of dynamic with that. So he was actually very positive about the changes that were coming into South Africa, the South African rugby, because he'd experienced some elements of sort of discrimination in his life. So he was a really interesting one. And I interviewed Joel Stransky for that chapter, who actually got the kick to win the game for them. And he was great. And again, he didn't, James Small was his mate, but he didn't sugarcoat it really, in that the guy was a bit wild, and he'd say, like, I'd be going to bed at sort of 10 p.m. and he'd be going out, and I'd be waking up at 7, he'd be coming back in, that kind of stuff. So yeah, stuff like that's kind of really quite interesting because they operate at a time when there's loads going on, not just on the pitch. And I think quite a few of the boys in the book, I mean, there's some of the current lads like sort of Danny Cipriani and Sonny Bill Williams, and then Finn Russell. But then quite a few of the older boys have obviously got jobs and stuff like that, and off the field activities, which, from a writer's perspective, make them a bit more interesting to write about, I think. So yeah, it was good. It was good fun to do, and people seem to be quite enjoying sort of dipping into it. The chapters aren't too long; they're not in any order particularly, so it's a good one for sort of dipping in and out of and that kind of thing. So yeah,
how long did it take to put the book together?
About a year or so.
So a bit of research and work, yeah.
Yeah,
what I liked about the bits I've dipped into, sort of thing, is putting the dynamic that the individuals had, not just with their sport, but the people around them and their backgrounds. I didn't realise that Ray Gravel lost his father to suicide, and stuff like that, and how that sort of influenced him. And he was a very sort of self-deprecating man, wasn't he? Like, always asked, other players knew they could wind him up by telling him, oh, you've lost weight and things like that.
Or you're fat.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with all of them, really, and it's like I think it's like anything, to be honest. The more you look at it, the more complicated things are. And I think for these kind of people who are so incredibly talented and have such pressure on their shoulders, they've often got other things in their life that are sort of driving them forward. And yeah, Ray Gravel, I sort of grew up like everyone, I think. I grew up with him on the telly, the kind of a big, a big figure. Obviously, if you're a Scarlets fan, from the West, he's even bigger figure. But everyone loved him, and again, a bit like Bishop, everyone got a story about meeting him and things like that, and it's a great memory and stuff for people. And yeah, it was kind of very sad when he died. But it was only when I started researching this book and I read some things about him that, I mean, his father was a coal miner, and he had an accident in the mine, and it severely damaged his back, and he was basically invalided out of the mine, and he couldn't mine, and he couldn't do sports, couldn't garden, couldn't hunt. Basically, he couldn't really do anything anymore, and he lost everything that was sort of his, really. And I think the sort of depression just overtook him. And yeah, one day Ray came back from school and he wasn't there, and he went looking for him, and he found him up on the mountain, and he shot himself. And Gravel found the body and had to go back and tell his mum. So it's a huge thing. I mean, awful, and it obviously had a huge impact on him. But I think rugby then, the grammar school he was in, and the rugby coaches, obviously 14 years of age when you're a bloke is quite an important sort of time. And I think rugby for him, his coach at, I think it's Carmarthen Grammar, I think I might be getting that wrong, it's in the book, but Phil helped him through that time and stuff like that. So yeah, the more you look at these guys, the more more deep they are. And 500 games for Cleckley and, Wales and the Lions. And as you said, he was still not always that confident before games. And if someone said he was looking a bit rough or looking a bit tired, it would take him a while to sort of get over that. And it's an interesting lesson for us all, I think, when you look at someone who seems to have it all, even they've got sort of a few doubts. But yeah, I would have loved to have interviewed him. He would have, that would have been wonderful.
So my dad played against, he did a couple of training sessions back in the 60s and the 70s. And at the time, Gravel was just a player, and my dad was a second row. So he got a bit bigger than Gravel. He's like, I'm going to have him. I'm going to have him. And he got to a stage where my dad was set up, ready to tackle. Gravel's coming straight at him. And Gravel went straight through him, handed him off, sat him on the floor, and just and Dad was left like looking up at the stars, going like, what the hell was that?
And your dad wasn't a small man either.
No, he was a big boy, wasn't he? And
he certainly was.
But he spoke to him in the club after. I did like a joint training session, and he spoke to him. He said he was, some of the stuff that he came out with was just, fantastic stuff. And he was, really nice to talk to. And the best story that he gave him was the one time he got in trouble with a referee. Gravel lamps this guy, clear as day, just whack, smacks him. And the referee goes, "You off. You punched that man. That's just not. I didn't punch him, ref. I was simply getting my retaliation in first. Is all I was doing." that's how you just do it,
There's a really funny story in the book. I don't want to give too much away because people need to go out and get it and read it. But it's a really funny story I liked on the chapter of Gravel when he meets Peter O'Toole on a film set, and that really did tickle me. I don't want to go into too much details, but I did love that, and that's what I really like about this book. There's a lot of funny anecdotes and stories in there. It is informative, but it is quite funny as well, and I really enjoyed it. I finished reading the book last night, and I can't recommend it enough. I mean, there were some players I never heard of before, players in the past, but it was great to learn about these players. I quite like the fact, Luke, as well, you've selected female players as well. You haven't just gone off male, and I quite like that. The fact you've got Non Evans in there, fantastic athlete, brilliant rugby player for Wales. Heather Moyes was a player, I have to be honest, hold my hands up, I didn't know anything about her. Really enjoyed learning about her. I watched some YouTube clips, and boy, she was fast. I tell you, she was one hell of a play for Canada. I didn't know anything about her, but yeah, fantastic. Loved it. Great book.
Yeah, I think I was talking to someone about this the other day, actually, and I think this is something that reflects a little bit of how sort of, without going really deep here, but like how sort of rugby and like maybe society has changed a bit now. Like if I'd written this book 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have had two women in there, to be honest, because I think the women's game was not really on my radar. What was it? The last 3 minutes of Scrum 5, wasn't it? With that one camera, and that would be it. I've watched a fair bit of the Women's World Cup, and my daughter's watched it as well. And it's a bit different. And I think so. Having more women players, like I probably should have had more than two, to be honest, as well. But I also think that to touching upon what we said about Ray Gravel there, but the sort of mental health kind of stuff, again, without going really deep. But we've got Christophe Domnisi there that had terrible mental health issues even at the peak of his playing. I didn't realise he didn't sleep for 15 days. He had to be in a medically-induced coma, and this was a month after he'd scored that wonderful try in the '99 World Cup. And obviously, he committed suicide. Di Bishop and Non Evans have had their issues, and I think they're fairly well documented. Danny Cipriani, again, someone that as a Welsh rugby fan, I think he's a bit of a dick. It's kind of like classic, upper class English guy, talented but sort of mucked around a bit, and he has mucked around quite a bit, but again, there's normally sort of reasons for it, and I didn't realise that I kind of assumed he was quite posh because he went to, Whitgift and things like that. But he was a single parent. His dad walked out on him when he was 8, and his mum was a cab driver, and she basically worked all hours to get him these scholarships and stuff like that. So he did go to these like fancy schools, but it was all, they weren't paying for it.
I love that story where she's a cabbie and she has to learn the knowledge, and I didn't know that, and it does make you respect them more, doesn't it? Like, I've always liked Danny Cipriani as a player, but you do think, well, he's a typical posh boy, but then when you read his background, like, I love that story where his mum learning the noise, being a taxi driver, working all them hours to send it to it. It's nice, isn't it? It's a lovely story.
Yeah, and I mean, he has, he has not made the most of his talent. I think he'd admit that, and he's, obviously he's not perfect or anything, but it gave me a bit of a better understanding. I do think as well that he was very hard done by Eddie Jones.
Eddie Jones, he didn't treat him right, did he? No.
Have you seen his tweet with Cipriani's tweet? I think it was Cipriani.
Oh, no.
So Eddie Jones being announced as the next coach of the Barbarians, and Cipriani goes, "Oh, well, that's me out then."
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Because he brought him in for South Africa tour a couple of years ago, and he actually played really
he was great on that tour, wasn't he?
And he couldn't have done any more. And then immediately in the post-match interview, Jones was like running him down. And you're like,
yeah.
But he's not like the same sort of misfortune as like Gavin Henson. He was the golden boy, and then with all that the press that came with it, and the nights out and everything else up in London with it was the model Kelly Brook. He was with there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
All the showbiz and glitz. But it doesn't help.
Funny, looking at some of the kind of the women. I think he went out. He said he didn't, but the story was he went out with one of the cheeky girls. Remember them?
Yeah.
Lee's got their poster.
Him and that Mid-Walian politician, wasn't
it? Lembit
married to him.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about Gavin Henson, actually, Luke, because, of course, you did run that Twitter account, didn't you? Not Gavin Henson. It's not going anymore, I understand. I think it's scrumping this down. No, that was Luke and his mate. Yeah, not Gavin Henson,
Yeah. That's right. So it's kind of a funny way how I got into writing these books. It's basically from running a Gavin Henson parody account. Because me and my mate ran it for far too long to admit, about 10 years, I think.
It was brilliant. Loved it. It was so funny.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. I mean, we only thought we'd do it for a bit, and then I don't know. It just sort of took off a bit, and obviously he was providing a lot of nonsense,
a lot of content,
a lot of ammunition.
Yeah,
a lot of ammo. But we packed it in actually just a couple of months ago, because I mean he just runs a pub now in the Vale of Glamorgan with his 2 little kids. And I mean, he hasn't officially retired. I'll give him that, but he is 40, so he probably is.
Didn't
he played a bit of rugby league last year?
Yeah, he did rugby league, didn't he? He did a bit of that.
He played about 10 minutes. He got signed for the West Wales Raiders, that rugby league team that play out of.
They play at Stevenage. Yeah, Stevenage Park. Yeah.
And they signed him, and they had drawn someone like Castleford in the Rugby League Cup. I'm so ignorant of rugby league, whatever it's called, the Rugby League Super Cup, whatever it's called. You know what I mean, the cup. And he was signed, and then he was in the team, and there was a lot of attention, and it was on BBC. And I think he kind of played about 10 minutes, showed some nice touches, and went off injured and never played for them again. So he was a good rugby league player, but not when he's 37, you know.
No.
That's fair enough.
So Luke, just before we wrap up, mate, because time flies, unfortunately. But so just before we wrap up, is there going to be a volume 2 of the Mavericks? And if there was, who would you want to put in there? I'm going to nominate Mark Perigo as my favourite Maverick, but who would you put in there?
Well, Mark Perigo is Non Evans' ex-husband.
Yeah, he's in the book. He is in the book.
He's in the book.
Yeah. You just ruined it for Christmas now. What am I going to do at Christmas, man?
You better buy a copy of this book, Lee. That's what you need to do. Get off your ass and buy a copy of this book now.
The wife has got it, man. I'm telling you.
Luke, Jamie did text me, and he asked me to say if he sent the book to you, would you sign it for him?
Just to confirm, I never said that. But if you want to sign it, Luke, I would like that. You can sign the book. I quite like that if you want to.
I'd be privileged, Jamie. I'd pay the postage. Dim props.
Oh, that's so sweet, dear. Yeah. Okay, great.
I will be going out this week to buy the book.
Yeah, man.
Top man.
Thank you. I think. I mean, I sort of made a long list before I did this, and Perigo was on there. Mark Ring was a lively character as well, as you boys know.
Still is.
We know about him.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
He's a good man.
And then there's loads of kind of nutty South Africans and stuff like that as well. That brawlers and stuff like that. Like sort of Carlos Spencer,
Corbus Visa. Do you remember him?
Carlos Spencer, my all-time favourite player.
Carlos Spencer.
Yeah.
Mercurial, that would be called, wouldn't it? Instead of
what a player! Absolutely gifted.
Win and lose a game in the same minute
as well. Do you like Calvin Zambrook? He's in the book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Shame he's a bit of an anti-vaxxer now. That's the only thing. He's a bit. I don't know if you saw his social media stuff.
Who is?
I base my game on Zambrook.
Zambrook, he's a bit of an anti.
My wife's just come back from New Zealand, and it's still like full on over there. There's more COVID over there than there's been before, but they're still quite hot. And there's been now a reaction, like a pushback, where before it was quite the community were like, yes, we'll test, yes, we'll stay in, and stuff like that, and that's how they eradicate it. But there's been a bit of a pushback.
He was a proper anti-vaxxer.
Exactly. I basically almost finished the Zinzan Brook chapter. I'd actually tried to get him to speak to me, but he didn't go for it. He runs a recruitment agency now in West London for builders, construction industry. And then I kind of looked up something, and I saw he's got a Twitter. And I looked at his Twitter, and it was just full of kind of COVID denier stuff.
I tell you, it's a shame. Is Glenn Webb. Because he was another favourite player growing up, watching Glenn Webb play.
I played against him for a charity match.
Did you?
Yeah. He ran rings around me, and he was in his 40s then. I was in my 20s. Keep up with him.
There's lots of people I could have got in there. I think the few of them are sort of, again, it's a bit like, they're kind of really exciting players. They're really lively players, but is there sort of 4,000 words on them as a bloke, And I think I was saying this the other day to someone who did the book launch down in Mumbles, and a guy came up to me and said, have you got Shane Williams in there? And I was like, no. He's like, why not? I was like, well, he's a great player. We all love him. A great score of tries, but there's nothing really to say.
Very straight-laced.
He's not a maverick though, Shane. He's too nice. He's not.
Polishes his halo, doesn't he? Yeah.
I thought Gavin Henson was going to be in there, though, Luke. I am surprised, seeing as you run that account. I did expect Gavin to be there. Was there any reason why you didn't include Gavin Henson in the book? I'm sure you've been asked this question so many times. I do apologise.
Because he said no.
Good question. There was a time when, delicately, where Gavin Henson wasn't very happy with the account, and got a rather formal letter from somebody on his behalf.
Oh my God!
I was the first book I did was called Absolutely Huge, which is a parody sports biography of a Welsh rugby player, and it's set in like a silly world. It's not quite set in Wales. Well, it is set in Wales, but it's like a made-up world. But they were a little bit concerned that the Gethin Hughes, or GH, the main character of the book, was based on Gavin.
Okay.
Gethin Hughes goes out with a pop star and has some scrapes with reality TV and doesn't really achieve the potential on the pitch. So I was in some contact before that from Team Henson, who were concerned about the book, but they saw the book and saw that actually it was just nonsense. So they didn't go any further. And I've had exchanges with Gavin on Twitter that have always been very positive. But the publisher did say to me, maybe leave him out. I think
fair enough.
I think there's a great book to be written about Gavin Henson. I would say. I don't think 4,000 words would do him justice.
No.
But,
See,
someone else can do that.
Carwyn, the lesson to be learned there, right, is when you're pissing someone off, stop. Yeah. Don't go tweeting them and inviting them on the fucking show. Yeah.
This is growth, Carwyn. This is growth.
Luke, it's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you this evening, mate.
Yeah.
And,
cheers, Luke.
My wife has definitely got the book in the stock. Santa. My letter to Santa is written. I've got the book on its way. I'm sure I've been a good boy this year, apparently. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for letting me on. Let's do a little competition or something for the listeners. We can talk about this off air, but I'll DM you. But let's do something, and we can sort it out. And if any of you boys haven't got a copy, just ping me, and I can help make that happen.
Oh, he's already my favourite guest, boys. He's right.
Yeah,
absolutely. There we are.
Thank you, Luke.
Right,
top man.
Well, thank you very much, boys. Hopefully join you again to talk about some other stuff. But,
that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be awesome, man. Good to meet you.
Wish you all the best.
Cheers for that, Luke. All the best, mate.
Cheers, Luke.
Nadolig Bowen, there with that.
Yeah, Nadolig Bowen, boy.
Cheers. Thank you. Cheers, Luke.
Ta-da.
What a lovely man.
Lovely guy.
Would you be good tonight?
Yeah.
It's good, that wasn't it?
Really good.
Right, gents, we've got 10 minutes before we need to jump on to the other one and do David Buttress in a very different way. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll edit the end of that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll do another bit later in the week where we just talk about the rugby stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll ping it on to the end of that one. And we'll just go, right, here's last Saturday's games, this week's previews. And we do it like that.
I'd like to get David Butcher's predictions for this weekend's games.
Well,
yeah, the important questions. Fucking hell, I will ask you about governance, all that stuff. You want about predictions?
Yeah.
I think the key thing is with Buttress is to start kind of slow and easy. General stuff. What do we think? What does he think about Welsh rugby at the minute? What are the key issues facing him as the chairman of the Dragons? And then we'll get stuck into stuff like governance and the future. And
I want to ask about private ownership. So, can you tee me up on that question? Because I don't want to keep intercutting people. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather you say, Jamie, do you want to? Do you know what I mean? I don't want to.
Yeah, because in fairness, the other week you wanted to ask a question and he didn't bother us ask.
I know.
He let you down.
Right. So let's
got lay it into the doom bar, didn't you, James?
Right.
Smashing it, right?
Yeah.
Hang on.
This is the big one now.
Wait there, because my official drink of the week.
I looked at that one the other day. Yeah, I was going to.
4%.
It's on my list.
Pale ale, proudly craft.
So big thank you to Luke for his time there. What did you think of that, guys? He's a top bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, lovely
Basher. Yeah,
lovely guy.
And we'll definitely be in touch and get some kind of competition for Twitter or Facebook or something like that, and bang one of those out. And I will let you know if I've been a good boy and if Santa delivers my present, because can never tell. I've got a sign downstairs that says, "Dear Santa, I've been naughty. Fuck it, save the petrol." So that's that gets hidden when the mother-in-law comes up. So
of course.
So let's talk rugby. Let's talk about last weekend. Who wants to kick off with their side for last weekend? Do we want to do it in the order we played?
Yeah, go for it, James.
James, you're first up, mate.
Yeah. So on the one hand, I'm a little bit disappointed because I think that's a game we should have won. But I gotta say, I mean, it's been a difficult tour, and we have been overpowered on many occasions, which you'd expect in South Africa. But I've got to say, I'm really pleased. I'm quite proud, actually, with our performances. We have been competitive. That's the one thing Dragons have been. Every game they've played. Yeah, we had that first half against the Stormers. They completely blew us away. Then we fought back really well. and picked up a couple of bonus points. But I'm really pleased. I think we are building something now. We seem to be on the right track. And yeah, that Lions game, like I said, it's a game we should have won. People are talking about, us not taking the 3 points winning off of that penalty with the yellow card. Maybe we should have done. But, we talked about it earlier, Sam Davis, he had a drop goal in the first minute. He missed that. Then he had a drop goal in the last minute. He missed that. So if he kicks them, that's 6 points. Seal Tompkinson had grounded the ball in the corner. That would have been another try. Would have put the game away. It's a game we could easily have lost as well. But I was really happy. If you told me beforehand we were going to get 3 points from that game, I'd have bit your hand off, because we're in a pretty good position now. 3 points. We're in our next game against Po. We're in a pretty good position to get out to the pool. So let's not forget this pool the Dragons are in, Pool B. It's 8 teams, not 10, like in Pool A. So the top 6 are going to go through. It's only 2 teams that's not. So Dragons are in a pretty good position, actually. I think it's been a really encouraging tour, and we've developed youngsters as well. We brought on Shea Hope, 19-year-old. We brought on the young hooker, Brody Coughlin. Yeah, okay, a couple of lineouts went astray, but it's all part of the learning process, and
didn't Will Reed come back on as well? Did I see Will Reed?
Will Reed, he came on as a replacement. He's been pretty prominent on this tour, so I think Moriarty has had a storm. I think he's sent a strong message to the Wales management. I think he was terrific in South Africa.
Alan likes him as well, doesn't he? He's a go-to player.
Yeah, I think we can expect to see him and possibly Aaron Wainwright back in the Wales setup, but definitely Ross Moriarty, because one of the complaints of Pivax Wales is we just didn't have any ball carriers. When you don't have the likes of Rhys Carey and Ross Moriarty, there's no one else really. Wales are lacking ball carriers, aren't they? And I think Moriarty was very sorely missed during the autumn. I'm not saying results, might not have been any better, but I think we did miss that aggressive ball carrying.
Yeah, for sure.
In the autumn, we just lacked it. And I think Moriarty has been fantastic. I really do. But overall, I'm quite happy. It's a lot to be positive about. And like I said, we win this week now. We'll be in a very good position. Because they always say, don't they, like in the Europe, well, it's not really Europe now with South Africans, but you know what I mean? You win your home games. And you pick up your bonus points on the road, and we've picked up 3. We've picked up 3 points on the road in South Africa against a very good Lions team. They are a good team. And it was a terrific game to watch. But yet again, what a shame. A brilliant game in front of a near empty stadium. I mean, that crowd again was absolutely pathetic. There was only 1,500 apparently in that stadium. There was that was the official attendance, 1,500. And it's a shame, really, because that game of rugby deserved a hell of a lot more. It was a terrific game. It was very entertaining. For the neutral, it might have been great. I mean, I did find it a little bit frustrated at times, without defence and everything else. But no, I thought it was a terrific game. And
I am looking forward to the Power game. Unfortunately, I'm working, so I'll have it on record. But I'm looking forward to seeing that game. So I think the Dragons are going to put themselves in a great position to go forward for that.
Well, the thing for me is 31 all. When you just look at the score, 31 all, that's, usually when you have a drawn game, it's like 12 or 15. Do you know what I mean? It's penalties, and it was a cracking game. It was an open game, and it's a hard place to play because it's at altitude and stuff like that.
Yeah, but there was proper rugby being played.
Yeah, it wasn't. To score 31 points against any team, you'd usually expect to come away with a win. So yeah, I was quite impressed with some of the. I think the way the Dragons responded every time the Lions came back. The Dragons had something to respond with. Do you know what I mean? Whereas in the past, I think Welsh sides in general, but the Dragons in particular have crumbled. And I think having that edge now with people like Moriarty, and I think Bradley Robertson and people like that have added a little bit of and Will Rowlands before he goes, but mentally they've added that little bit of an edge that says, right, if they stick a penalty over, we go score a try. If they score a try, we stick a converted try. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of let's go back at the mentality, and I think that's what's changed. And the other thing is, you guys have been out there for 3 weeks, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I think that's really benefited you because, you're away from everything in Wales. one, it's sunny. It's and I know that sounds stupid, but being able to get up every morning and just go out and have a walk in the sun and just enjoy training. It's not 4 degrees below and you've got to hide away from hailstorms and all this kind of stuff. You're actually enjoying the training, and you've got a solid 3 weeks of just being together there in a team, on the field, off the field. I think it really benefits teams to go and do that, which, in the olden days, that was always the end of season tour. You'd go, you'd do an end of season tour and you'd do your bonding and things like that. And it actually built the side better, and it doesn't happen now. So I
was about to say that. I think you made a really good point there. It's been a really good bonding exercise. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Dragons, they've done a video diary and they've put it on their YouTube. It's really great insight. The boys look really tight. They play for each other. It looks a happy camp. You know, and let's be honest, we've all heard the rumours about, a certain Mr. Dean Ryan, and it wasn't a happy camp. I know that for a fact. So it looks a lot happier. But going back to the game, talking about decisions earlier, there was one decision that did piss me off. The Lions tried in the first half, the replacement prop number 18. He did not ground our ball. That was not a try. The TMO looked at it for ages. He knocked it on. It was that blatant, right? Even the South African commentators, who, let's be honest, are quite biased and one night to say that they are. But I mean, even though they are quite partisan, even they said on the replay, and I quote, "He's lost it," and he did lose the ball, and the bloody TMO giving us a try. No, I'm sorry, that was bollocks. That was a bullshit decision.
Oh, you sounded like a Scarlet.
I was listening to them, and I love the commentary. I love listening to them just talking pure rugby. No politics about it, whatever. They're just like the love of the game. And it might be a bit partisan, but hey.
A bit. Did you notice, though, because Ben Carter pulled out and Matthew Screech was originally meant to start the blind side. We had to go into lock, and Sean Lonsdale went on the blind side. But the commentators didn't get a memo, and they constantly kept calling Sean Lonsdale, Matthew Screech all game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it was funny at first, but then it did get quite annoying after a while.
We had the same the week before, because Lousy and Fafita were numbered at 4 and 5, but they'd swapped round or whatever. So one was wearing whichever would have been number 4 listed at number 4 was wearing number 5. So they'd be going like, cracking run from Lousy, and you're looking at and after about 5 minutes, you kind of work out what's going on, and you're like, all right, yeah, I get it. And then you're 60 minutes into the game, and you're going, Lousy's just had his nose broken, and you go, no, he hasn't had his nose broken. That was Fafita, and you're really pissing me off now, mate, because it's basic stuff, So, yeah, they're renowned for it. They don't watch the game, do they? They don't watch the game. They're not going to know who the players are in Wales. Let's be honest, but that's not what they're there for, is it? But
look, well done to the Dragons. Great effort. 3 points. Home to Pau next, and onwards and upwards.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about Pau later, because they've got an interesting little backstory. So, Reece, you know what I'm talking about, don't you, with the coach?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
I have, yes.
We're looking forward to that one. So, Reece, were you high as a kite when Cardiff were playing? Or were you...
I was in A&E when Cardiff were playing. So,
how did you get there? Did you get an ambulance?
Say again?
Did you get an ambulance, or did your mates give you a lift?
I was, well, it happened. So I was carried out by 6 other kickboxers and sat on a couch. And then we thought about waiting for my mother to come and pick me up. But a fellow kickboxer said to me, "Oh, I'll drive you." And as he pulled up to the side of the door, it was a Fiesta. So I had to keep my legs straight. And they sort of folded me into the back of this Fiesta, into the boot with the seats down. And then I had the most painful drive from Grange to Heath Hospital. And then spent like a good, 2 o'clock in the afternoon till 9:30 the next morning, in a very, very busy car, as you can imagine. Like, apparently there were 60 people there in the waiting room and being seen, and 6 doctors. So fair play to the staff for seeing me, and like, thank you. I got treated very well. But so I've seen the highlights and I've read about the game and things like that. So I'm not going to bring I'm going to bring my usual one-eyedness for Cardiff, obviously. But yes, and I've been speaking to my friends that went to the game. I was due to meet them there. So a bit disappointed. But even though it was a 41-0, a lot of my friends said it was quite like a dull game to watch. Like, because Cardiff were brilliant, yet they were enough to they were able to put a poor side away, which is like, and I've seen many Cardiff sides that haven't been able to do that and usually sort of go down to the level of the side they're playing. So it was that was ingratiating to see that. It was nice to see some players like Grady come on and Mason Grady come on and have a go on the wing. And looked quite strong in some of his runs and things like that. Now we're losing Max Llewellyn. He's our next best hope at centre. But I like the fact that they're bringing him on the wing to give him a bit of experience there, as opposed to putting him against experienced midfields and having him turned inside out. I thought the pack, Teddy Williams is coming on great for Cardiff. He's developing fantastically. Owen Williams' boy there. And every game he gets better and better. He's scoring tries. He's a bit of a ball carrier. He can jump. He hits every ruck and ball during the game. His work rate is absolutely incredible. And I'm liking the Carrow DCR hip front row, which seems to be just taking all comers at apart from the Bulls. But at the moment, we won't mention the Bulls. We're back to nilling people. So we're and Cabago there at the end, like, isn't it, with his pace. So I was glad his injury wasn't too bad after the. Am I allowed to say Sharks, Jamie?
No.
After.
Couple of games back.
So when you're sitting in A&E and you're having your little triage and all of that kind of thing, and the doctor goes, "So how are you feeling?" And I can imagine you sitting there going, "Well, I'm quite good actually, because I watched Cardiff and the Sharks last week." Now, did you see the game?
So but I spoke to a few people about rugby in there. But nobody wanted to talk to me about the Sharks. But much like you. A great result for Cardiff. We can only play what's in front of us. That was a really poor Brive side. I'm really disappointed, really. I mean, remembering the Brive side of the late night. Remember the flanker that came to Cardiff, Gregory Katsala, who basically won the European Cup on his own for Brive. Like a giant of a man, and like the size they had back in the day, and then to witness, we just hammered them, and we didn't do too much to do it.
Didn't Pontypridd go to Brive in the early days?
Yeah,
and
the
Battle of Brive. Yeah, that's what it was.
I went to the return game. I went to Sardis Road to watch Brive play Ponty. That was tasty as well. That was absolutely. I took a weekend leave from the army in Colchester, and I came down and I watched them play.
Yeah,
that was fantastic.
That was a good Brive side, isn't it? The one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you don't invest in the future, isn't it? You're just constantly relying on, what has gone instead of what's coming. And I think that's, for me, the impressive bit about Cardiff was the young players that they did bring on. And I think it's taken them a while to get to a bit where they look comfortable. Like Cabango he's always had pace, but you just kind of felt, I don't know, was that all he had? And now he's starting to kind of get involved, and he's
develop, isn't he? They're trying they're trying to instill a bit more game management with the young players coming through, isn't it? There's some raw talent coming through, and it's with all the regions, isn't it? It's doubtless, isn't it? But it's about that game management as well, isn't it? And playing that mixture of heads up rugby and when to run, when to kick, when to pass.
But we should give a shout out to Lloyd Williams, because it was his 250th game for the club. very impressive achievement. And I think whether you're a Cardiff fan or not, you'll always have a place in every Welshman's heart for the 2015 World Cup.
2015.
To Gareth Davis, one of the greatest moments of my life, I'm not going to lie. It was terrific. And brilliant player. Really good player.
My son is nearly named after Lloyd Williams until my daughter told my English brother-in-law what the name of our baby boy was going to be. So I couldn't have it anymore. That was it. It couldn't be Lloyd. And I told him that story. I met him a few years back, and and he was walking with Ellis Jenkins through Cardiff, and so Charlie, my boy's middle name is Ellis. My wife says it's after this great Welshman, and I'm saying, well, no, it's after Ellis Jenkins. But
I tell you what, fella, you must have a hell of a strong back. Because to keep picking up all these names that you keep dropping, you must have a hell of...
Well, we live in the capital city and we bump into people,
Yeah.
He just has to stay outside that co-op for a long time. He's got a lot of winter wear.
Funny enough, I tell you, I was out there the other day. He plays for Cardiff. Hello.
He was there at Willis. Yeah, I was talking about Willis just the other day. Yeah, somebody was saying everybody says he's lovely, and that's my experience of him as well. Yeah.
Anyway, about the Scarlets
game. Lloyd Williams as well is he's closing in on.
He's off again.
You brought him up. But Tau Felice has got 255 games for Cardiff, so he's closing in on him now.
Oh yeah.
Is he the all-time cap Cardiff player? Is he?
Yeah, Tau Felice. Yeah. Great guy.
Yeah. Moving on.
Are you finished now, Rick?
He wants to talk about the Scarlets now.
Are you happy for me to stop talking about Cardiff now?
And the Sharks, yeah.
Let's give Lee 2 minutes. Come on.
Yeah, because it's not going to take me. It's not going to take me long. Because of fucking games to me, and I was so pissed off. I ended up listening to it on BBC Radio, and the guy on BBC Radio. Because he couldn't pronounce half the players' names. Dane Blacker was Dwayne for most of the game. We had 3 different captains, according to him. So when who's it? Blade Thompson got yellow carded. So that's the Scarlets captain. Blade Thompson has just been carded, and I'm like, really? When? And then the very next play was an excellent pass from Jonathan Davis. Well, I'm fairly sure if Jonathan Davis was on the pitch, he was capped. And he went through, I think any player that just did something wrong, he just went, that's a Scarlet's captain there. So, yeah, it really pissed me off that I've only been able to watch 10 minutes of highlights. And of those 10 minutes is 3 minutes of fucking interviews. So, from what I've seen and from what I've heard, Callum Mahoney at second row worked really well. Our front row actually, Will Griff-John actually started being a prop.
He had a good game, didn't he? I was quite shocked at that. He actually had a good game.
He started living up to the hype from 5 years ago, whenever the fuck we signed him. But it's one of those things that it just all. I genuinely think, from looking at it, that so Kemsley Matthias, who's another Pembrokeshire boyka, so he was the other prop, and he played, and he just kind of balanced everything that Will Griff-John was doing. And I think up till now, that front row, it's just looked out of kilter. When you can tell, particularly when they go into a scrum, where it's not a balanced front row. You've got one strong and one weak or whatever, and it just didn't look right. And in the scrum looked balanced. It looked better when they said Callum Mahoney at second row and Blade Thompson at number 8. Everybody was a little bit, because we've relied so much on Callum Mahoney. And he's not. I think he's 6'3", so he's not like a massive 6'6", 6'8", whatever to put into a second row. So that kind of worked, Costello is just really starting to turn it on now. Didn't get a yellow card, which top notch. Well done. So yeah, and Johan Nicholas at outside centre. And outside centre is, well, both centres are the place where we kind of worry most, because we rely on Jonathan Davies and Scott Williams to create things so much. And now we're starting to feel a little bit better about it. So, yeah, I was chuffed. I was just pissed off that I couldn't actually watch the one time we fucking play well. And I can't watch the bastard game. So, there we go. So, Carwyn, Ospreys, cheer up, son.
Bitterly disappointing. Like I mentioned earlier, we had all the internationals back, over 650 caps, playing a second string Leicester team, and they wanted it more. They wanted it a lot more. There was more fight in them. I was just beyond words, to be honest. We all had experience that they just didn't play like a team. They didn't play with any aggression. Didn't play like they wanted it. And there's some great players there, absolute great players. But it's been the case for a while now at the Ospreys. I think Toby Booth is a great coach, and I've seen people putting stuff on Twitter again. Need to get rid of him. I'm like, no, the guy's a great coach. Let him put his plans are starting to come together, but the team needs to be playing. They have to play as a team, not individuals. And we've got some great youngsters coming through. We've got Kieran Williams there, like I mentioned, you need to build a back line around this boy. He's a tank, an absolute tank. And again, with Morgan Morris there, we've got the players. We've got some young great players coming through. But the game, there was no cohesion at all, and there was that always. And we see it in the Wales team as well. When it's that back pass, you can read it a mile off. They're not getting anywhere. They're not creating the gaps. There's no heads at rugby. There's no playing off the cuff. I'm just furious about that match. It's a game we should have won, and we should have won by 4 tries. Without a shadow of doubt in my mind, that was on paper a great Ospreys team, and it's done a disservice, I think, to the boys. The younger guys who have represented the region over the last few weeks while the internationals have been away, because they have wanted it more. They might not have got the results they wanted, but they've shown that passion to try and win those games. Whereas I just didn't see any leadership on the field. So yeah, to say I'm disappointed is an understatement. But we move forward. We're away to Montpellier. But I don't know how we're going to get on there. We're either going to get minced up, or we might come away with a completely fluky win. Who knows? That's rugby, isn't it?
So before we look ahead then to this weekend, I'm just going to chuck something in, because we've all talked about future players and all that kind of stuff. So tonight, while we've been recording, the under-18s championship has kicked off. So Ospreys 26, Dragons. Ospreys 26, Dragons 5. So Dragons are last year's champions. So that's a good win for the Ospreys there. And Sunday, must have been Sunday, Cardiff beat RGC 17-7. Playing away in RGC, because it's so long, I think that's why they play it on a Sunday. But to go to RGC, and Sunday was not pleasant weather at all, was it? So to win 17-7. When was the 11th? What's the date?
14th today.
Yeah, so
11th was Sunday.
Yeah. So to win up there in the weather that it was like 17-7, and then obviously 5 teams for Scarlets not playing this week, so they'll be back next week. But yeah, it's one of those things that it's worth kind of just keeping track of, because it is worth watching. Usually they do it on Rugby Pow, so I'm hoping there'll be Rugby Pow on it tomorrow. So something to add into the pod for future weeks, gents. So back to the day job. So this weekend we are in action again. So let's start with Ospreys then. Let's start with the big boys. Ospreys away in Montpellier. So I don't know. Let me write this down because.
Who are you asking first?
Well, I'm going to ask you first, Cart, because hang on. Yeah, go on. You do it, and I'll write it down so that I can actually remember who's got what ready for your fine next week.
Okay,
go on.
All right. So look, of course, I want us to win. Of course, we are going to be down in the sunny south of France. Beautiful area. I've been down there, down to Montpellier, and God, I think if we don't get a grip of ourselves, we're going to get absolutely smashed. I don't want that to happen. I think, 25-21 Montpellier.
So, see, we go and establish a system last week of so-and-so to win by 5 points or lose by 5 points, and then you start by predicting a bloody score. So, Montpellier by 4 points.
Yes.
Right, there we go. So
4 plus.
By 4. Oh, Gordon Bennett. Right, Jamie, what's your thoughts on Ospreys Montpellier?
I don't think it's going to be as close as what Karen was saying. I watched London Irish Montpellier on Friday night, and they're taking this competition seriously. They look pretty decent, to be fair. And the way Ospreys are playing right now, I can't see them getting close. I'm going to have to go Montpellier by at least 18 points. Sorry.
Don't apologise. Don't apologise.
Yeah. No, I want Ospreys to do well. Of course I do. I want all the Welsh Chiefs to do well, but I just can't see Ospreys getting anything in it there.
Ospreys team click. The ability to beat them.
Oh, yeah, they got the experience and talent, didn't they? It's just that something's not right at the Ospreys. They've won one game all season, and something's not right. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I can't see Ospreys getting anything from this game, I'm afraid.
Reese, what's your thoughts?
They're was it 5th or 6th in the top 13 in Montpellier, so I'm going to go for Montpellier by 15.
By 15, right. And I'm going to be quite generous to the Ospreys. I think there's going to be a bit of a backlash. There's going to be a bit of a reaction. So I'm only going to go Montpellier by 10 because,
That's some reaction, That's some reaction.
Really killed my interest then. I said, it's like, what's Lee going to say?
Anticipation.
What I mean is I don't think you'll get a kick-in. You'll lose, but I don't think you'll get a kick-in. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm really, really wrong. And but there we go. Right, so what's next? Cardiff, Newcastle. Ooh, see, this is a tough game to call. It really is.
Yes, absolutely. Conrad did a job on him. Newcastle haven't been winning many games in the Gallagher, I don't believe, but they have got some notable wins and away. Like they beat Leicester at Leicester's ground. They beat Exeter Chiefs. I think they beat Gloucester away. So they got it in to be to do it, isn't it? But I think we're riding high. I think we're playing well, and I'm going to take Cardiff this time, and I'm going to take Cardiff by 5.
Cardiff by 5. Carwyn, what's your thoughts?
Straight up Cardiff by 6. There we go.
See, that's straight in there. There's no messing there.
Although you are right, Newcastle, they've got the games in them. There's been some good things coming out of Newcastle. So look, we'll wait and see. But I think Cardiff by 6.
It's an up and down season they've had, isn't it?
Yeah, like the Ospreys.
Ospreys have had a down and down season.
Or any of us sat here.
Jamie, what's your prediction?
Yeah, it's a tough choice, isn't it? Going up to Newcastle. They're a good team, Newcastle. I quite like Newcastle. They don't have any major superstars in their team, but they're gritty and they're hardworking, and they will give Cardiff a good game, I think. But look, Cardiff on a roll, and they're playing very well. Confidence is high. This is a winnable game for them. So I'm probably going to go. You said 5, didn't you, Reese? I'm going to go for the same. I'm going to go for Cardiff by 5.
Yeah, Cardiff by 5. So I'm torn on this because it's another plastic pitch. So Newcastle have usually got that kind of benefit. Not many people play on it and what have you. More of them do now, but Cardiff will feel comfortable on the pitch. I'm going to go with Cardiff by 1. I think it'll be a really tight game. Might be another draw, but I think Cardiff by 1 point. And we'll go with that. Cardiff by 1. So Dragons are away in Po. So before we do prediction, home. Sorry, yeah.
They're at Rugby Parade.
Yeah. So for those who haven't seen the footage, it was Po against Cheetahs, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you make of it, Jay? Tell us what you saw and tell us what you made of it.
Well, it looked like he yanked his arm, didn't he? I mean, something was said. He wasn't happy with the referee. I mean, I didn't see this game, to be honest. I know that Pau did lose at home to Cheetahs, which I was surprised about. But then I don't know how many changes they made. So, he says something to the referee, Sam Grove, right? And then he sort of yanks his arm a little bit, doesn't he? And it's not good. It's not good at all. I think he's going to get quite a lengthy ban, if I'm honest. You can't touch referees like that. You can't, and he has been cited now by EPCR. I quote, he's alleged to have physically abused the referee following the conclusion of the match in contravention of law 9.2.8 or whatever it is. So, he's in a lot of trouble. Hopefully he'll be banned before the Dragons game. I quite like that. If they came down without a head coach. The timing is superb, isn't it? Great timing. But, it was. What did you make of it? I don't think it was particularly particularly nice, was it? What happened,
But having been a ref and having been in that position where no matter what you do, the one team is going to be, no matter how wrong their players are, somebody's going to have a go at you. And to get to the end of the game, and he's right on the side there, and I think what people forget about referees is that when you're on a team, you've got 14 other players around you, you've got a couple of thousand people supporting you and all of this kind of stuff. When you're the ref, you've got no one. You got 2 touch judges who are like 25, 30 meters away, and they're usually the skinniest, smallest people on the pitch. So if anything kicks off, you're vulnerable. There's nobody in the crowd is going to be cheering for you. Nobody holds up a banner saying, "Come on, the ref." Do you know what I mean? It's a really...
I can change.
But no, it is. When something like that happens, it does shake you. It is quite scary. So, and I know it wasn't, he wasn't throwing a punch or anything, but he was grabbing at him. Then, like you said, there'd been an exchange, and he was grabbing at him, and he was kind of like pulling him back to him to who knows what. So yeah, I do. I hope he does get banned. I hope he gets a good, hefty, lengthy ban. And people talk a lot about supporting the referee. We can't play the game without the referee, this, that, and the other. But actually, when it comes down to it, there's very little support for referees. They don't get the support that they deserve. So if something doesn't happen, you will find lots of players and coaches a lot further down the system will start going, well, if they can do it, so can we. Do you know what I mean?
Look at Wayne Barnes this week. I don't know if you guys saw it. He's done an interview and he says since this Ovazi thing, him and his family have had death threats.
That's right, yeah.
It's not on. It's just not on. We've got to protect our referees. And we get frustrated by some of the decisions, but we have to remember they're only human. No
referees in a rugby.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, Carl, because it was
too much to protect them.
Yeah, it was. I think it was when you were living back home. But one of the teams that we both used to play for, in one of their league games, the referee ran off the pitch. He blew up early when he was next to the changing room. He went up the steps and locked himself in the changing room. And while a couple of players were trying to kick the door down, he was phoning the police.
And who were we playing against?
I can't remember.
I say we. I played for them at youth level. I played one game against Tenby. He's talking about Pembroke Harlequins, by the way.
Oh, see, you've gone and done it again, mate.
Well, look,
there's a reason why I didn't say the name.
Again, this was a long time ago back in the amateur day. They're a very historic club down in West Wales of the are the Quins. They were my first club, and I still wish them all the best. I know it's tough down there, and all the local clubs these days.
But
anyway, back to the Dragons.
Yeah, but that's the extent that how referees can get to if it's not stamped on. So, Dragon and Pose. Thoughts? So, Jane, your team, you go first. Thoughts on Dragons?
Well, I'm hoping Poe continue tradition of what a lot of French clubs have done in this competition and just not give a fuck, quite frankly, because Brive didn't, Bayonne didn't, quite a lot of them haven't. They've lost their first game at home. Are they really going to care? Are they going to be up for it? Hopefully not. But we can't underestimate them.
Yeah, you say that, Jamie, and you say, like, and everyone says about the French, they lose the first game, they're not interested. But as a rugby player, you don't want to lose.
Of course not.
You go out there, you give it your best, you want to win that game.
But we've seen from team selection, and we've seen from results that that's the case, and they prioritise top 14. That is their bread and butter. I don't blame them. Power struggling, and that's what they're going to put their focus on. But like I said, we could still easily lose to these, right? Because the one thing Power are going to bring is a hefty pack. All the French teams still bring big, hefty pack. So we got to sort of have parity up front. But I'm hoping they'll come down and not give a toss, really. And if that's the case and team selection is right and we're on it, I think this is a winnable game. And, if we win this game, we're in a very good position, to get out to the pool. So, I'm going to back us. Hopefully, like I said, they won't have a head coach for this game. So I'm going to go for Dragons by 7.
Dragons by 7.
Score.
Lovely. Carwin, what's your take?
Dragons by 15. I think they're doing really well. I think they're showing a lot of promise. I think they'll go quite far in the competition.
Cool.
Give me Dragons by 15.
Dragons
you
by
did
15.
It here first.
That's too confident. I don't like it.
You're making Jamie nervous.
I don't like that.
It seems visibly uncomfortable.
It's not the Dragons' way to win like that. I don't like it.
Times are changing.
Reese, what's your thoughts?
I'm gonna go. Yeah. After the incidents and their sort of lowly place, they don't seem to care. I'm gonna go for Dragons by 5. More comfortable.
Well, you're going to go for like 20, 25 then, or you were building
I thought he was.
Yeah, I saw like.
I just want to comfort you,
Thank you, I appreciate that, mate. Thank you.
James, have I got free reign to predict a Dragon score now, or am I still banned from predicting a Dragons win?
Oh, go on then. If we predict a win, if you predict a win and we lose, then it will be all your fault. That's the only thing you've got to remember. So go on then, crack on.
I will shred the lucky pants if that's the case. I'm going to go for Dragons by 10. I think coming back home, 3 weeks away, coming back home, it'll be quite a nice feeling to be back at Rodney Parade. I think the crowd will be, feeling a bit more positive. I think the crowd will have an influence on the game. So, Dragons by 10 and hopefully more. But, Dragons by 10 for me.
Game is live on S4C, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, lucky bastards. I don't think Scarlets aren't on.
Oh, they are. They're on Fire Player Chat. You're on Fire Play Sports.
Sure now?
Okay. Absolutely. Right. According to my TiVo box, I checked this morning and you was on Fireplay Sports one.
Fireplay Sports? Is that? Do you have to pay for that?
Yeah.
It's Premier Sports, mate. Have you got Premier Sports in it? Well, it used to be Premier Sports, but Fireplay. Right. So it's basically what was Premier Sports. It's
Premier Sports, basically.
Yeah.
So the Scarlets then.
So I think the feeling in the camp is quite good at the minute. Like I say, there's a good smiley, happy faces around. Everybody's feeling that we're going in the right direction, and it looks like we're going in the right direction. But then you're playing the Cheetahs, who've not really got any form. They played in the Irish developing side, went over to South Africa, and they played in that, and it was an Argentinian team and a Japanese team or whatever. But they've not, they're not in a league. They're not really competing in any way. So it's hard to judge.
Proven, mate.
Yeah. And, the team that used to play in the URC, or what used to be the URC, that team got disbanded. The club was still there, but the team got disbanded and then put back together, sort of a thing. So I think I'm going to go for a Scarlets win, and I'm going to go for a Scarlets win by 10 points, just because I've got to pick a number. I don't really know how this game is going to go. Do you know
Is it being played in South Africa?
Is it being played in South Africa, or they've been playing in South Africa?
No, is it?
No. It's it is, isn't it? Yeah, it must be.
Yeah.
No, it's in Italy. It's in Italy.
That's where they're playing their games.
Yeah, they're playing in Italy, in one of the stadiums. So it's not in the Zebra Stadium or Benetton, but they are down in Italy. So it's kind of a halfway house. So it's not really. It'll be nice and sunny again. But there we go. So yeah, what did I say? Scarlets by 10, didn't I? Yeah, right. There we go.
They got Ruan Pina still playing for him. 38-year-old Ruan Pina, who played very well apparently against Pau.
Yeah.
So a player to watch out for because he can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah. And they got a lot of unknown players that are coming through trying to make a mark sort of a thing. So, and cheaters want to get into the URC. So, there we go.
Not to be underestimated.
Yeah, but hard to judge. So, Jane, what's your prediction?
Oh, do you know what? I'm going to tip the Scarlets. Yeah, I fancy the Scarlets to do it. Trying to think of a score now. Scarlets by 5.
Scarlets by 5.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah. See, I got no problems with you being positive about the Scarlets at all, mate. We'll take that shit every day of the week. That's lovely. Reese, what's your prediction?
I'll go Scarlets by 5 as well. I will say. Cool.
Okie dokie. And Cowan?
That means I've got to drink more mulled wine and go and cheaters by 5.
Cheaters by 5. Right. Lovely jubbly. There we go, boys. And we're done. We are done for another week. So just to say to everyone that we were hoping to have a second guest on. We said we were having a second guest, but obviously sometimes these things go wrong. But we will do our damnedest to get him on at some point. And if we do, it's going to be a really, really good good thing to hear. So that might be a Christmas special, might be on over Christmas. And we will do plenty of stuff over Christmas, I'm sure, as we get into the festive period. It's gone quick, boys. We started this in September, and we're halfway through. Yeah. We started this. Well, actually, we started it in August because we did a pre-season preview. So not all of us were on board back then, but we're halfway through a season nearly, boys. Lovely. Okie dokie. Well, thank you for tonight's gents. Very good of you.
Enjoy the weekend.
And take care.
Enjoy your tablets, Reese. Yeah.
They're going well, boys. Hopefully next week I can talk better.
Speedy recovery, Reese. Speedy recovery, mate.
Yeah, nice.
Take care, buddy.
Yeah. Have a good week, gents. Enjoy your rugby.
All the best, guys. Take
care.
All the
best. Thank you for listening to this week's show. We hope you enjoyed it enough to come back next week and listen again. So please do subscribe, rate and review the pod, as it really helps us on most of the platforms that we appear on. You can keep the conversation going on Twitter and Facebook by searching for us on WRAP, WRRAP, or you can email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. We'll be back next week to do some more of the same. We hope you'll come and enjoy us, and in the meantime, enjoy your rugby.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.